Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. If you're watching this not live after the fact, I hope you've had a good day or you're having a good day. And thanks for joining in even after the fact. I wish you could have been here live, but such is life. Maybe the next one. Those of you who are currently here watching this in real time, welcome. Go ahead and let me know down in the comments that you're here, where you're coming from, and if you are wearing a fragrance, what you're wearing. I see Terry Smiles left a comment before we even went live. Appreciate your thanks for your support, Terry. That means a lot. I see Sense of Gents is here. How you doing? I see Bosman. You know what? I'm gonna put on my glasses so I can actually see my computer, which is, excuse me, a little bit of a distance away. Just with my setup right now, I want to make sure I'm reading your names right. Getting old. I don't think I made it known, but my birthday is actually this month. I turn a year older on the 21st of February. So the eyesight is getting old. Not really. It's okay, but it's definitely not what it used to be. I remember my days of 2020. Vision, that is. We all remember 2020. Okay, I can actually read now. Bozeman. Formerly Boz. Is it Bosman or Bozeman? I think it's Bosman. Formerly known as Boz. Okay. Good to see you. Edu Maurice. YSL EDP layered with oud wood. Wow. Quite a combo. Mr. Carter, I have not tried Pearl from Mancera. The waffles. Am I in my 30s yet? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'm well into the 30s. Sarah Glenn, thank you so much. Today's your husband's birthday and your 5-year. Wow, what a wedding you guys had on his birthday. Happy anniversary and happy birthday to him. Adrienne, I'm in search for a similar scent to the one I used to wear in the 80s. I don't know that fragrance, unfortunately. I'm not sure if it's still in production. I assume it's not. So I honestly have not had a chance to smell that. I apologize. Rudy from California, Prada L'Homme Intense. All right. Good stuff. Move this closer. Youssef is here. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Bosman. We'll go with Bosman because Bozeman sounds like Bozeman, Montana. And I think there's actually an E in that. So I'm just going to call you Bosman. Matthew De Bernardo. Good to see you. Cedrat Cedrat Inivant. I can't speak because my body is trying to burp. Cedrat Inivant. I believe that's Atelier Cologne. Good stuff. Signature pour homme. The waffles, thank you so much. Amber Nargile. It's been a long time since I tried it. I remember enjoying it, but I couldn't speak on it and in any more detail than that. Cam, eat my carrots. Unfortunately, I am slightly allergic to raw carrots. I do eat them cooked when my wife makes them because she loves carrots. But when I eat them raw, my mouth itches. It's been that way as long as I can remember. So I don't eat too many carrots, and I don't love them that much. They're good, but I'm never like, you know what? It's between carrots and steak. I'm going with carrots. That would never happen. Jared Miller, good to see you, man. Adrian, I certainly will tell my parents. You said hello. Fig, Mr. Carter, okay. Chef Symbol, good to see you. Sarah, all right. Jaleel, Halfetti or Halfetti Cedar? I'll be honest, I have not tried the original Halfetti, but I love Halfetti Cedar. So by default, I'd have to go with that, but I still need to try the original. But only you can decide which one's better. I can tell you which one I like more, but you got to decide that for yourself. Roja Danger. Good stuff. Love that one. Devin is sick. Sorry to hear that. What do I wear when I'm under the weather? I do like to wear kind of like semi nondescript fragrances, stuff that's, just really clean, maybe a little bit linear. I don't want a whole lot of depth or dimension or complexity when I'm sick. Not a whole lot of sweetness, maybe more fresh again. So that's kind of stuff I might go for. Ethan Caldwell, good to see you. Noel, like the video. Thank you, Noel. I appreciate it. Remember, guys, it's free. It is free. Adrian, oh, yes, I remember. It's good to see you. Thanks for joining the live. Really good to see you. I don't know if this is your first time tuning in, but if it is, welcome. Ex Nihilo, the hedonist. Okay. Amit, what can I say about Roja, A Midsummer Dream? Lovely scent. My wife and I just featured it in a Roja Parfum Fragrances video. So if you missed that, I don't know why you missed it. I just put it out a few days ago. So go check that out and you will get both of our in-depth opinions on that and 9 other great fragrances from the house. Oh, Youssef, FragBuy team. FragBuy house. Guys, check them out. Love their stuff. In fact, we'll be talking about one fragrance that they sent me today in this video. Let's see, we'll take questions for maybe, a minute or two more, and then we'll jump into it because those of you who caught the first edition of this, you know how much we have to cover. And I don't want to keep you here all day. Sunday, hope you're not hungry. A little bit. I had just enough time to eat a little bit of something, but I'll be ready for a meal when we're done. I appreciate that. Bleu de Chanel, EDP, good stuff. Waffles. Thank you, Waffles. And yes, you guys all smell amazing. Celebrate your smelling amazing by hitting that like button. Enrique, Pasha Parfum. Good stuff. We talked about that in the last live. Bosman, glad you enjoy it. Thank you so much. My favorite sandalwood fragrance. You're going to have to wait because we have yet to include sandalwood as one of the notes in one of these videos. I think we didn't do it last time. I got my notes here. Did we do that last time? No, we didn't. And we're not doing it this time. So maybe in a part 3, I will share my favorite sandalwood fragrance. You'll have to sit tight. Divine is here with the cowboy hat. Ernesto from Spain. Good to see you. Jared, really appreciate that. Yes. Brandon, good to see you, man. Thanks for joining. Noel, yes. Noel, not Noel. I know people named Noel who spell their name the same way, so I apologize. Okay. Let's dive into this. We got 70 folks in here, roughly. Again, thank you for taking time out of your Monday and joining me on this little escapade we're going to take here. We have 30 fragrances to cover. We're going to try to do them as quickly as we can. If you are new to this series, this is only the second episode, so it's barely a series at this point. But after, 2, I think it is official. What we're doing is I'm selecting 30 perfume ingredients, 30 notes, as we call them. And I'm selecting one fragrance from each note from my collection that I love, for one, and also, in my opinion and experience, pretty well accentuates and conveys that ingredient. So yeah, kind of a hard thing to do. There's some notes I have a ton of fragrances for. There's some I don't have a lot. And I am trying to, choose a mix of common ingredients and ingredients that maybe you may not have experience with or very little experience with. Some unusual ones, but some ones that I've really discovered a little bit over the past few years and have grown to enjoy. So I'm using Fragrantica as the guide here. If you've been to Fragrantica, you know that you can go to their notes section. They have all the notes, probably all of them that have been created, but maybe not all, especially synthetic ones. But most ingredients that are used in perfumery today and have been used in the past, all cataloged really clear. Pictures, descriptions, and fragrances that use those notes under each one. So they have the categories. They have I think it starts with citruses and then it goes to like fruits and nuts and then florals, herbs, greens. We have spices. We have gourmands. We have woods and mosses. We have resins and balsams. There is beverages or boozy notes. You have musks and animalics. And then you also have synthetics, popular or weird smells, as they put it. So we did 10 categories last time, and we did not do synthetic and weird. We did all the ones I just said, except for synthetic and weird. This time, we are switching out musks and animalics. We're not covering that today. And instead, we are covering synthetic and weird and popular. So a lot to get through. We got 3 fragrances for each category. Again, a note for each fragrance. So hope that all makes sense. I feel like I just kind of vomited all that out, but I hope it's clear. Jared, thank you so much for the super chat. Again, feel free to hit that like button, y'all. At Jeremy Fragrance. Okay, let's dive into it. So I have some banners I'll be putting on the screen just to give a little bit of structure here and keep us on track and let those of you who might jump in late what's going on. And if you did jump in late, you did not hear what I just said. So hopefully the banner will help. We're going to start with citrus. We got 3 citrus ingredients to cover. The first one is blood orange. Blood orange, it's a sweeter, juicier orange ingredient. Very juicy. My mouth is watering thinking of it now. And it can be pretty sharp, but again, mostly on the sweeter side. And a fragrance that I have in my collection that uses it very well. I actually wore it last night and really enjoyed it. In fact, enjoyed it more than I remember enjoying it when I first smelled it. From Rochas. This is L'Homme Rochas. This is easily one of the cheapest fragrances we're going to talk about today, if not the cheapest. Now, the funny thing is when I bought this, I got this last year from FragBuy, and I bought it for like between $15 and $17. It was a steal. Nowadays, it's more expensive. It's probably over 20, pushing 25, maybe even double. I think I looked on FragBuy today and it was like almost 30 or maybe more. So I'm like, it's funny how things can fluctuate for the same freaking juice. But nonetheless, a wonderful scent based on pineapple, based on juniper berry, and based on blood orange. When you spray it on this stuff, my mouth is watering right now. Geez, just thinking about it. It's so juicy, so fresh, so aromatic, a little spicy, but there's this warmth to it that I love, especially on the skin. If you spray this on paper, you're not really going to get what I'm talking about with this kind of like deep woody warmth. On skin, though, it's lovely. It gives it dimension. It's more than just citruses and herbs and fruits. It has some legs to it. So lovely stuff for as cheap as it is. It is mostly a kind of a blue fragrance, but not exactly, a little bit different. And I appreciate that. A little off the beaten path as far as a L'Homme fragrance goes for men in the designer realm. So I enjoy it. Let me know if you guys have tried this one. It's good stuff. All right. Anything? Oh, yeah. Ultra Zest. Ultra Zest is lovely, but it's discontinued. Unfortunately, don't have it. I also think I have Paco Rabanne Ultra Red. I think I have that somewhere. I don't love that fragrance very much. I prefer L'Homme Rochas as far as blood orange goes, but that one is decent too. Okay. Excuse me. Next up is lime. Lime. We all know what lime tastes like, smells like. I love lime. I love it in eating. You know, I'll eat it with certain. I don't eat lime. I might put it in like drinks and things like that. It's lovely. But also the smell when it's juicy and fresh, a little bit sweet, but it still has that bite to it, that tangy bite. Lime is lovely. And the fragrance I've chosen that features it pretty well is Aqua Celestia from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. I'm going to give this a spray just to remind myself of this opening. Let me know if you've tried this one. This is the original Eau de Parfum. Is that what it is? Oh, this is an Eau de Toilette. Yeah, so this is like juicy, sweet, floral, clean, musky lime. When it dries, the lime dissipates. You know, citruses, as you already know, they don't last very long. They're some of the most volatile ingredients that you can use. So you'll get, you know, maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes max out of most citrus ingredients. And then you're, you know, they lead way into the rest of the scent, the heart and whatnot. But for the time that it's here, it's lovely. When it dries and the lime disappears, it's a little bit more kind of soapy, clean laundry feel. Honestly, not my absolute favorite in the dry down. It's still really pleasant. It just doesn't really capture my attention very much, but that opening is beautiful. I actually love the Cologne Forte version, the little clear blue bottle, even more, but that one doesn't actually have lime in it. I probably would have featured it here instead if it did, but it doesn't. Uses other citruses. So that is Aqua Celestia. Got some stuff in here trying to fall down. Aqua Celestia. That is lovely stuff from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. Let's see. Virgin Island water is also great. I don't have it. Lime on tacos. That's right. I was thinking about eating the fruit, but I definitely squeeze the juice out. So that makes total sense. Yeah, Virgin Island water is great. I wish the lime excuse me. I wish the lime lasted longer in that. It fades too quickly, and I don't love the dry down, but I do have a clone from Parfums Vintage called Isla Tropica Privé, and they took Virgin Island water, and they made the lime last long. It like kind of lasts the whole life of the scent, and it's lovely, and I actually prefer it to Virgin Island water. Big homie Josh, good to see you. Welcome. Okay, our final citrus is mandarin. Mandarin is one of my favorites. I've had some interesting experience with it because Brass and Soul, my first original fragrance, had a pretty heavy dose of mandarin. And in formulating that with my perfumer, Vincent Kuczynski, I learned more about mandarin and what it can do when it's especially in overload. I remember one of the first iterations of the scent we were working with had a little bit too much mandarin, and it came off smelling a little fishy, which was so strange. It kind of smelled like fish in the ocean, kind of, you know, fresh, not like rotting or anything, but kind of fishy, kind of marine-like in a weird way, which I wasn't digging. And we toned it back a bit, kept that juiciness, that sweetness, that freshness. Anyway, I'm going on and on. A great fragrance that features mandarin along with many other fruits and citruses, but mandarin being very prominent, is Sicily from Mancera. Now, this is a fragrance that a lot of guys might find a little feminine, but I think it's a beautiful sunny day on a tropical vacation in a bottle. That's how I see it. I don't see it as a scent for men or women. I see it as like an experience or sentiment captured. And you can choose to accentuate your personality with that if you're feeling it or not. And I typically will wear this in this kind of situation. I'm not really just going to spray it on whenever. I usually have a taste for if I'm going to be outside, if we're going to be near water, if we're going to be having a good time, and I want this vibe around me. Very fruity, citrusy, fresh, a little bit floral. It's quite sweet, juicy, and very powerful. This one is beautiful. Does anyone know Sicily? Any of you guys tried this one? Arshana says, I get mad compliments wearing Sicily. It's beautiful. And again, it's powerful as you would expect from Mancera. So maybe get a sample of it. I think I have a link down below in the description to get a sample of this, along with just about all the fragrances in terms of samples. I couldn't get samples for all of them, but most of them, yes, you'll find a link. So Sicily, great for mandarin orange. It's so juicy. Okay, let's move away from citrus. Let's move to fruits. Fruits. Our first fruit we're going to talk about is black currant. Black currant is known to be sweet, yes, juicy, but a little tangy, and even can smell a little bit kind of ammonia-like an overdose, a little bit like cat urine, if you will. I have yet to come across a fragrance that uses too much of it to where it smells that way. But it's a lovely fragrance, lovely scent when used as kind of a dominant fruity nuance, because it adds kind of this darkness. It's a dark juiciness rather than like a bright kind of, fresh mandarin or peach or something like that. It's a little bit, there's just a little bit more, I don't know, mystery there, or interest there. And this is one that is no stranger here. If you saw the thumbnail, it was in the thumbnail along with a picture of black currant. This is Cedrat Boise. This is currently my favorite fragrance in my collection that uses black currant. It is so mouth-watering. It's so juicy. Some people say they get a pineapple feel because this is a little bit inspired by Aventus. I definitely get way more black currant than pineapple. Now, black currant is also in Aventus pretty heavily, but I prefer it here. It is way more upfront as the dominant fruity quality, bringing that juiciness, that fruitiness. Yes, there is some citrus perhaps as well, but the fruitiness does not come off tropical or overly like super playful. There is a bit of a darkness also contributed by the, I think, leather and some smoky nuances as it dries down. But I don't need to talk much more about it. Most of you guys have tried this. Some of you may not care for it. And I used to not care for it myself until I started getting reacquainted with it. And now I like it more than I did before, especially as it dries down. It gets really nice. Our next fruit is hazel, fruits and nuts. Fragrantica puts them together. Hazelnut is our next ingredient. And if you guys have tried Nutella, which I'm sure most of you have, you are familiar with how at least hazelnut tastes, but also smells, because it is kind of one and the same. Will Baker, I wanted to try Vagabond Prince for a long time. I'm sorry, Enchanted Forest forever, but it's discontinued and hard to find. And yeah, but that's a great black currant fragrance from what I hear. The intense version is wonderful as well, but not quite as juicy and fruity as the original for me. So I chose the original as a black currant representation over the intense, but it's still great. Yeah, Gerard, I agree. Okay, our hazelnut. This is an interesting fragrance. It is kind of simplistic, but it's also very different. I think the main notes in this are tobacco. I can't remember what's at the top. Is it ginger? Grapefruit? I'm forgetting now. But there's definitely hazelnut in here. There's definitely some vetiver as it dries down. It is very nutty and woody, a little bit warm, slightly sweet, slightly creamy. So beautiful. This is from Caron. God, what in the world was that? It's in the description. You'll see the name, and it's on the bottle here. I really tried my best to say that name with the utmost French flair. This is called Aimez-Moi Comme je suis. Love me as I am is what that means. This is such a unique scent. It's a little bit unusual, but there's a softness to it. There's a gentle quality to it. Not to say it's weak, but the gentle quality of the fragrance makes it very easy to wear. It doesn't get in your face. It's not super thick and rich and heavy. There is a lightness to it. I do believe it is an eau de toilette. It doesn't get super, again, dense as it dries. It is quite nutty and dry and woody, but there's this creamy, smooth, airy quality to it that is so beautiful. But it is very handsome, a little bit mysterious, but mostly handsome and cozy and a little bit refined. And the hazelnut is gorgeous in this. I love the nuttiness that this provides. Very unique combination of ingredients with that hazelnut at the center of things. Justin, I appreciate it. I'm doing my best. Let's see here. Our final fragrance for the fruits and nuts is coconut. Coconut is technically, I believe, a nut, as per the name. And I had a few fragrances I was deciding between, but I went with this one because of the summation of what this fragrance is with all the ingredients is so unique. It's so different. And the coconut really adds this twist that gives it its identity, in my opinion. And it's Fan Your Flames from Nishane. Things like rum, tonka bean, cedarwood, oak moss, tobacco, and coconut. There is this sweet, warm, almost vanilla-like, quality. It's very, very dense. But you have this kind of tropical drink feel. It's like the rum and the coconut work together, along with the tobacco, the tonka bean, this kind of sweet, rich, woody mossiness that's very dense. It's almost like a barrel, like a wooden barrel, very dry smelling and a little smoky. But then you have on top of that, or maybe inside of that, this like tropical concoction. It smells so beautiful with the coconut. It is a little bit, wow. The way it's mixed here, it does not smell like something you would wear in the summertime or during the daytime. Coconut we usually associate as tropical, beach. Not really here. Again, there's a richness, there's a sweetness, there's this smokiness, a dark woodiness in here. Coconut done very differently. Lovely stuff. I've been talking about it for a long time. That's Fan Your Flames from Nishane. All righty, let's see. Am I missing anything? Chef Symbol. This is an interesting question. In your opinion, what is the difference between lime, lemon, bergamot? Is it just mainly notes used to balance each other and add more depth? Well, that's a great question. First of all, I'm not a perfumer, so I cannot technically speak about this issue, but I can kind of speak about it conceptually based on what my experience is and what I've researched. The best way to find out, first of all, is to smell the essential oils. So to smell the raw ingredients, the oils, the distilled oils, if you can. Bergamot is especially a special ingredient because it's very multifaceted. That's why it's used so much. It can add a general freshness, a brightness, an openness. It can add a kind of more sour or lemony-like feel. As far as citruses go, it doesn't smell like lemon, but it has a more of a sour feel, but it could also be kind of sweet and fruity smelling. So that is it's a triple threat, or more than triple. There's just a lot of aspects that bergamot has. Lime and lemon, they kind of go hand in hand, but they're definitely not the same. Lime, of course, is a little bit sweeter than lemon. In terms of adding depth, I mean, citruses are not really what I'd say add depth, because they are typically used as top notes as the face of the scent to add pop, to add some kind of emphasis. It's everything else that adds the depth, but they do add a different nuance to the opening when you first spray it. Each one is going to give off a different sentiment when you get that first whiff. So that's the best way I can describe it while not being a perfumer. Let's see. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of coconut fragrances being put in. Cocoa Moon is great. Love that one. Virgin Island water. Yes. In fact, Virgin Island water, the coconut quality of it is actually not my favorite. It turns into suntan lotion on my skin. And I don't love that. It's like expensive suntan lotion. I can just get some suntan lotion if I want that. But not unpleasant, just a little bit uninspiring for me. Okay, let's move on. Again, I want to keep answering questions and just get lost in what you guys are saying, but we have a lot to get through and I don't want to be here all day with you and keeping all of your time. Let's move on to flowers. A lot of guys seem to be afraid of floral ingredients, especially when they're done at the forefront. And I've been talking about this here and there recently about not being afraid of florals and giving some recommendations of fragrances that use florals in a very interesting way, maybe ways that are made more masculine, but maybe ways that are not, but still done in a way that doesn't smell like a bouquet, like you're just putting your nose in a group of flowers. So our first floral we're going to talk about is carnation. Carnation is a special one because it was used pretty heavily in older fragrances. It was kind of like a hallmark ingredient, especially in men's fragrances, as a heart note. And especially like in the 90s and a little bit before that, you saw carnation quite a bit. And it's known to be kind of spicy, a little bit fresh, but it's an odd note and not everyone loves it. And honestly, I can't exactly describe what carnation smells like. I have not picked up a carnation and smelled it, but what I can tell you is that I have yet to come across a carnation forward fragrance that I don't like. So that must mean I like carnation, and I can usually tell when it's in there, but it's hard to describe. So I do need to smell it myself by itself and see what I think. But this first one I'm using carnation is from Guerlain. This is called Habit Rouge. This is the Eau de Parfum. This is good stuff. This is very complex, a little odd smelling. When I first smelled it, I was drawn to it, but it was so different. It almost reminded me, this is going to sound weird, but of like smelling a new deck of cards. There's this like interesting kind of dry, papery quality but it was kind of addicting. But this is based on a lot of carnation, a lot of rose, lemon, rosewood. It is quite spicy, but it's also a little bit powdery and sweet, herbal. So complex. Have you guys tried Habit Rouge? It's a little bit polarizing. Some would definitely find it a bit mature. So I don't blame you if you don't love it. Carnation is in full force, and I think it really helps to give it its identity. That's Habit Rouge. That is beautiful stuff. Wears great on the skin, and the eau de parfum I have here is quite strong. So if that's something you care about, you got it here. Okay. Funerals. Association is powerful. Rose Inc. You reminded me I actually have that one. And Grace actually likes to wear that a lot. But I haven't worn it much myself. I need to revisit it. Amouage Lyric. Amouage Lyric Man, and have your reservations about rose fragrances immediately resolved. Also, a rose that is not a rose oud combo is refreshing. Yes, totally. And Lyric Man is gorgeous. I don't have a bottle of that, just a decant. But I've been planning to get a bottle for a while. Sentiment, good to see you. Hey, Tammy, Rose 1845. I don't know that one, but I've definitely heard of it. I've heard great things. Our next floral we're going to talk about is heliotrope. Heliotrope is known to be kind of almond and vanilla-like. In fact, a lot of the time it is used to accentuate the almond accord or the almond ingredient. It kind of smells like almond, but creamy, vanilla, sweet, smooth smelling, and I think it's very pleasant. It can add a bit of a gourmand quality. And this is a fragrance that uses heliotrope along with almond, I think. Definitely some cherry in here. This is from BDK. This is called Rouge Smoking. Now, when I first got this, I was unimpressed. I was seeing so many things about it that it was like this rich, sweet kind of cherry liqueur, syrupy, but creamy, almondy, heliotrope fragrance, that it was just delicious and kind of intoxicating. I got it, I sprayed it, and I couldn't really smell anything. I'm like, what is this? And then after like 3 hours, I couldn't smell anything at all. So I just got really upset with this fragrance. I let it sit. I think it needed some time to sit because now it is opened up. It is unmistakable. It is blossomed. It is so dense, but so pleasant. I'm going to give it a spray so I can remind myself of this opening. Let me know if you've smelled Rouge Smoking. I see someone talking about Pegasus. Pegasus definitely has that vibe as well. Oh yeah, this is beautifully in the air right now. Oh yeah, cherry, fresh, smooth, almondy, creamy, really, really beautiful. Uncle Ira, is it feminine? That would be up for you to decide for yourself. If that kind of profile sounds too soft for you, then maybe you would find it feminine. I do think that I've seen a lot of women enjoy this, but I've also seen guys enjoy it. So, you got to make up your mind for yourself, maybe get a sample. Again, I should have a link in the description where you can try it if you're interested. It can be a little bit metallic, totally, especially in Pegasus. I find it way more metallic in Pegasus than I do here. And the cherry vibe really makes it quite different from Pegasus as well. This is lovely. So that is heliotrope. Our final floral is an unusual one. And it's one that doesn't even really smell like a flower. It's Narcissus. Narcissus has this kind of damp, green, earthy quality to it, like green earth. It's beautiful. And this is a fragrance that uses it at the forefront. It's in the name. It mixes it with some pear, some kind of powdery nuances, maybe iris or something like that. And I actually haven't worn this in a while. From Atelier Materi. Wow. This is called Narcisse Taiji. If you want to focus. There we go. Narcisse Taiji. Beautiful bottle. Love this cap. It's like stone or something. I'm going to give this a spray because, again, I haven't worn it in a while. Now, I will say that historically, Grace hasn't loved this fragrance, but I don't think I've actually worn it around her. I've had her smell it in a video or two on paper. Up close, I don't blame her. It is a bit much. It's definitely quite powdery up close, and especially at first spray and especially on paper. But that pear is, oh man, there's ginger, I think. This is beautiful. It's a unique blend. You definitely get this bright, zingy quality. You definitely get this kind of powdery quality that fills out the scent. It's a little bit fresh, a little bit fruity sweet from the pear. But the Narcissus is at the heart here. This, especially as it dries on the skin, it gives it this damp quality, this kind of green, dark forest feel. It's beautiful. So, so nice. Again, very different. May not be loved by everyone because, again, you got to appreciate, what was I going to say? A powdery quality. That is Narcisse Taiji from Atelier Materi. There's a link down below, I think, to maybe a discovery set if you want to check them out and see if there's something you like from them. Okay. I see Jared. Jared, I appreciate it. You're doing great. Thank you so much for going through all the florals. I apologize, guys. You're not going to find the names of every note in the description because there wasn't enough characters. You only get 5,000 characters in the description. And just, and just to have the name of the family, the name of each fragrance, and one link filled it up. So I could not fit the names of every ingredient. So I do apologize for that. Gerard, I don't know. I don't know that. I'll have to ask a perfumer or at least look it up on my own. But that is Narcissus. Those are florals. Those are florals. And those are some, again, maybe some unusual ones. I haven't really talked about all of the most common ones yet. We'll get to those later. All right. Our next category is herbs or greens, fougères, as they call it on Fragrantica. Waffles, yeah. Jared, thank you so much. I appreciate that. He's working hard over there. Okay. Herbs and greens. Our first one we're going to talk about is basil, or in the UK, as they say, basil. Whatever you want to say. I think we know what it is. It's a green, herbal, kind of spicy, aromatic note. And definitely used a lot in cooking, especially like Italian cuisine. I've had a lot of pastas and things that feature basil pretty heavy, and it's delicious. I love it, and I love the smell of it, even in excess. Basil is also used. Oh, that's oregano. Never mind. Basil is what we're talking about, and a fragrance that uses it pretty readily is Margiela's At the Barbers. Now, this is a fougère. I did a whole video about fougère fragrances, barbershop fougères. So I went really in depth in that. I'm not going to do all that here. If you want more information about the fougère, about the ingredients that they typically have and how the formula has been evolved over the years, then check out that video. But here it is used as the primary aromatic quality. Fougères typically have some kind of primary aromatic quality, being maybe a combination of some kind of floral or an herb, citruses, spices, those qualities coming together, giving it that lift, that clean feeling. Basil is the primary aromatic, and At the Barbers, it smells so beautiful. I'm going to spray it because I haven't worn this in a while. I think it's one of the best beginner barbershop fragrances. If you want to dive into the realm, this is a great one to start with. It smells like shaving foam. Oh, but that basil. It's so well blended. It's a different type of freshness from like lavender or geranium, which are florals, of course, but even different from like mint or thyme or I can't think of another one right now. Sunday, you asked if I was hungry. Now I'm hungry and it's getting to my head. Nonetheless, beautiful stuff. It is creamy. It's fresh, a little bit sweet, aromatic, spicy, leathery, and that basil really pops here as kind of the first thing that greets you when you spray it. So if you want an idea of what basil could smell like in a scent, especially in a fougère, this is a great one to consider. Okay. Yes. Italian pizza. Totally. Spanish as well. Several people use it, Ernesto. But yes, Spanish cuisine as well. Our next herb, if you want to say it again, like you're in the UK, herb is cannabis. A questionable ingredient for obvious reasons. I'm not a partaker of cannabis products. I'll get that out of the way with no shame. I don't really care for it at all. But the smell of it raw, used in fragrance, I found to enjoy. One that uses it that I love is Desir Toxic from Micallef. It's not at the center. It's not the main face of it, but it is a pretty primary component adding to this very sensual vibe, a very mysterious vibe to the fragrance. But we used Desir Toxic in the last live. So this one was easy because this is in the name. It's very upfront here. From Fragrance du Bois, Cannabis Blue. You know what you're getting. This one I was afraid of when I first smelled it. I smelled it and I'm like, that smells like cannabis. How can I go out in the world smelling like this without drawing certain conclusions from people? But the more I've worn it, it's funny. I've had several people smell it blindly and I've asked them, what does this remind you of? What does this smell like to you? And people just are kind of like, yeah, it smells like herbal and kind of sweet and fresh and green, but no one thinks cannabis. And then I tell them, and then like, oh yeah, totally. So I'm like, I can totally wear this out. People don't seem to recognize it right away like I did. Cannabis is known to be, again, aromatic, green, but also kind of dirty, sour. There's a dirty, sour, earthy quality to it when used in abundance. And it is pretty abundant here. I mean, it's in the name. You have to expect it, and it's here. But it's beautifully blended with some oud and even, again, like a kind of vanilla like nuance as it dries that really saved it for me on the skin. I was not expecting that to come out when it did, but it's kind of this creamy, smooth sweetness, very subtle, that surrounds this pungent, earthy cannabis, and it gives it a lot of dimension, makes it way more palatable. So, if you are also afraid of cannabis, but you're interested to really experience what it's like in perfumery, this is a deep dive, but it may not shock you as much as you would expect. Definitely worth checking out if you're interested. Not cheap. Fragrance Bois is very expensive. So do get a sample. Again, I think I have something linked down below. And we are going to block you. Amazing. Hope you have a great day. I think we have one more ingredient for herbs, and that is clary sage. Clary sage is used a lot, especially in men's designer fragrances and men's mainstream fragrances, and the fresher ones and the ones that might smell a little bit more blue, more aromatic, more clean smelling, with a sweetness. Especially clary sage is an herb, but it's known to have this kind of like sweet ambery quality to it, maybe even a little bit spicy, but a sweetness is pretty prominent about it. And again, you see it all the time. And this is a designer fragrance, but this is one that smells quite different from others that I've tried. It also features a heavy dose of Narcisse, which is a pretty major component to its identity. But clary sage, I think, is what really gives it the sweetness that it has. It's an odd sweetness. It doesn't smell edible like a cake or vanilla or caramel or anything like that. It is definitely more of like a natural herbal sweetness. And this is H24 from Hermes. This is the Eau de Parfum version, which I love. I love this fragrance, and I love it even more than the original, which is also really nice, the original Eau de Toilette. The sweetness here is kind of ambery. It's almost resinous, but it's still fresh, green, a little bit metallic, and mossy. They've added quite a bit of oak moss in this one. And for those who didn't like the EDT for being too metallic, you might actually enjoy this. It's nowhere near as metallic. And the clary sage is, I believe, to be the primary sweet component that you will experience when you smell this. Very different, very unique, but also very versatile. Maybe even more so than the EDT, because you can wear it as a heavier scent in the cooler months. It will hang on a little bit more. It'll have more of a sillage in the air. It might be more detectable. And again, it might even be more palatable for some. So whether or not you liked the EDT, you might like this. Definitely worth trying. Okay, that is it for the herbs. We're going to move on to the spices. But first, let's see. Angelica. Yeah, Angelica's also nice. I have not tried the new Red Colorado from Micallef, but it looks fantastic. I know my friend Ross, TLTG, has a bottle, and I don't know how he feels about it yet, but I will find out. Jared, thank you so much. Once again, it's clary sage instead of just sage. Sage is definitely a little different, but thank you so much for logging all this and keeping track. It is clary sage. Fragrance test tube, good to see you. Thanks for being here. I guess that came before I showed it. I'm not sure. Okay, let's move on to the spices. Our first spice is a favorite of many. Oh, so many people love this. I need a drink. One sec. Good stuff. So many people love this. And I am being facetious. We're talking about cumin. Cumin is one of the most polarizing spices. To put it simply, and as you may have heard before, it's known to smell a little bit like BO, like sweat, kind of stinky, especially when used in overdose. But when blended thoughtfully, it adds such a captivating quality to a scent. There's something about it that is very human, maybe even a little bit carnal, but very attractive, very interesting, but still, may not please everyone, but still interesting and doesn't smell just like you just came back from the gym. Our cumin fragrance we're talking about is from Le Labo. It's Rose 31. Now, yes, this is a rose fragrance, but if it was just rose, it would just be rose. What makes it what it is that rose with the cumin. Lots of woods as well, lots of dry woods, but that cumin blended with the rose here is so different. It adds this, it makes the rose less powdery, less sweet, even maybe a little bit less fresh, but still undeniably a rose fragrance. But the cumin in here is stunning, if you're asking me. Now, I happen to be a fan of cumin, at least used in fragrances. Smelling up close, it's a little bit much, the raw spice. But in fragrances, I'm a fan. I have yet to come across one I don't like, but not everybody does. This is one that actually my wife has worn a lot. This dent is pretty much all her. I got this for her for Christmas back in 2020. So she's been wearing it quite a bit over the years. Lovely representation of cumin. Fetish for men. Yes. Lots of cumin in there as well. We just talked about that in our Roja video we did last week. Me and Grace. Cumin is not bad. I don't know what people are tripping for. What I can't stand is caraway. Well, just keep in mind, some people love caraway. So different strokes, right? Okay. Can cumin have a curry vibe? Not explicitly, but I could see how you could tie them together. If I'm recalling the raw smell, I could kind of see that. Okay, next spice is licorice. Yes, licorice is actually a spice, an unusual one, and one you don't really think about when you think of spices, but it is known to have an anisic quality to it, kind of like anise, which I believe is also a spice. Kind of fresh and almost mentholic, a little bit sweet, but in an odd way. And yeah, definitely smells like anise if you smelled that. And a fragrance in my collection that features licorice to the fore, like the utmost, is from Kilian, and it's Lure Verte, which I believe translates idiomatically in French to happy hour. But in the literal translation, I think it'd be green hour, which would make sense too, because this has a lot of absinthe in it. Absinthe is flavored by way of wormwood or artemisia, as well as licorice. Those components usually come together. And in perfumery, we often see this combination of an absinthe accord maybe coming from that artemisia / wormwood, which is an herb. Also, the licorice or anise with violet leaf. I can't remember if there's actually violet leaf in here, but the freshness, this metallic freshness, is usually added ozonically with an ozonic feel from violet leaf. Again, I can't remember if it's actually in here, but this is very licoricey, very woody, sweet, boozy, licoricey, woody. If you don't like licorice, you're not going to like this. I don't love to eat licorice, but I cannot get enough of this scent. I don't know what it is, but as a licorice fragrance, this fragrance captivates me. I can't stop smelling it. It's a little bit addictive. That's licorice. That is Lure Verte from Kilian. Caraway. That's amazing. Okay. Final spice is pimento. Pimento pepper. Very hot, fiery, spicy, as you would imagine. A fragrance that I love that features pimento. There was a few I was choosing between, but this one, when you first spray it on, it grabs your face and it kind of caresses you by slapping you. It doesn't hurt. It feels kind of nice, but you're immediately drawn in with this beautiful kind of sweet smokiness, kind of creamy, warm, smooth, like leathery in a way. From Guerlain, L'Homme Ideal Intense. No surprise from those of you who've been watching the channel for the last few years. I love this stuff. It's my favorite in the collection. And that spiciness from the pimento is very hot. It warms the nostrils and blended with the smoke, but that's this smooth, creamy sweetness all inside of that. It is lovely. It definitely smells like the original L'Homme Ideal. It is a pure flanker through and through. It takes it, it gives it a new personality on that identity, and therefore makes it a little bit different in terms of function. I think some of the best flankers do that. I've talked about that a lot. Some of the best flankers take the original, undeniably have the DNA, but give it a new personality. New personality, a new face, so that you can wear it in different occasions. The original L'Homme Ideal I would wear as a cozy, maybe date night fragrance, cuddling, that type of thing. I wouldn't really wear this for that. This is a little bit louder, a little bit more in your face, a little bit less approachable, but mysterious. So I would wear this dressed up, going out, maybe in all black, kind of like this bottle or something like that. So pimento pepper, a gorgeous component in L'Homme Ideal L'Intense. I think a few of you guys also enjoy that from what I've seen. Jared, thank you so much. Yes, pimento. Is it the black licorice? I think you could definitely relate it to black licorice. I don't know if that's what they're going for, but licorice is, again, a spice. It kind of looks like a piece of wood or like a root or something like that. And then they take that and they flavor candies with it and such. Yes, so Lunar Vetiver is also one I was considering. However, we still haven't done vetiver as a woody component, and that I think has my pick for vetiver. So when we do this again, which we probably will, that will probably win vetiver. So I wanted to save it, but also has a beautiful pimento note. Let's see. Kelly, if I'm not a fan of cloves, what other spices should I be wary about when trying a new fragrance? If you're not a fan of cloves, maybe I would also be a little bit weary of cumin, maybe caraway as well. Anything that is like dry, stuffy spice that doesn't have an overt freshness to it. Some spices have a citrusy quality like Sichuan. Black pepper is more of a fresher spice, but obviously super peppery. Yeah, anything that's a drier, stuffier spice you want to watch out for. But I'm not going to say, avoid it altogether. Now, Kelly, it sounds like you may have experience with cloves in its raw form and you're not a fan. I love cloves in fragrance. I don't know if I love it raw, but obviously you tell me what your experience is. So if it is with raw cloves, then you might still like it in fragrance if you haven't tried it, but maybe you have. Okay, let's keep it going. I think that is it for spice. Yes, we're moving right along to gourmand. Gourmand, sweets, desserts, gourmands, fragrances that are intended to smell edible or represent something that you would eat. Our first ingredient is caramel, as some people say caramel, depending on where you are in the world. I think we all know what caramel smells like. Yeah, I don't know if I really need to describe that. If you haven't tried caramel, then go get you some caramel. What are you waiting on? Our first fragrance up here is from Unique Luxury, Turkish house, known for their, honestly, overly powerful fragrances. They are way too strong, but they're lovely. I have 3 of them. They're all great. They're all very strong. This one is a caramel bomb along with earthy patchouli. And maybe some other things, maybe a little bit of lime. I can't remember now. This is called Crush on Me. Crush on Me. Yes. Very, very strong, rich, sweet, but not overly so. There's not too much rich sweetness. It's not like cloying in your face and just like tooth decayingly sweet. It is quite sweet and it is quite strong, but the balance of the patchouli being kind of damp, earthy, woody with that caramel makes it smell a little bit less edible, but still quite edible. That's mostly what I get on my skin when I wear it. It's a little one-dimensional for me, maybe two-dimensional, but lovely, a little bit different, a little bit unique, and total caramel. If you like caramel, you'll probably enjoy this as long as you don't hate patchouli. That is Crush on Me. I still have yet to try that one from Xerjoff. I hear great things. Okay, our next sweet gourmand ingredient is cream. Now, cream can come in so many forms, especially in perfumery, but we're just calling it cream because I think that's what they call it here in this fragrance. And yeah, I'm sure you can imagine what cream smells like. It's creamy and sweet, maybe fluffy, maybe reminiscent of vanilla. Oftentimes it might be based on vanilla, but this one is like fruits and cream. If you can imagine raspberry and melon and pear in like a bowl of cream. That's what we're getting here with a little bit of an ambery warmth, a little bit of smooth sandalwood, and some musk as it dries. This is from Byron. This is called the Chronic Rouge Extreme. Cam, are all gourmands sweet? No, they're actually not. You can have bread and rice and things like that. Anything that does resemble food. This is fruits and cream. First and foremost. Now, one thing I will say about it, I don't love the opening. There's something a little synthetic about it, just for like a minute or two. A little bit sharp, but not even like a minute. After a few seconds, it could just be the alcohol, of course. It fades and you get, it kind of reminds me more of strawberries and cream. That's what I mostly get. They say it's raspberry, but I detect it more as strawberry. It is kind of that simple. It's a delicious smelling scent. It's light, creamy, whipped in a way. And it doesn't fly off the skin. It doesn't grab people, and I wouldn't want it to. I think it would get very annoying if it was too strong. The waffles, I have not tried the Chronic, the original, unfortunately, so I can't tell you there. Okay, Kelly's talking about the cloves. Okay, got it. Okay, yeah, you just might not be a fan. Now, I can say I used to not be a fan of cloves when I first tried them in fragrance, but now I love them. It took me a few years and my taste changed, so that could always happen. Anyway, the Chronic Rouge Extreme, fruits and cream, basically that, kind of realistic smelling in a way, pretty authentic. But if you don't want to smell like a bowl of fruits and cream, you may not want to wear that. But I think it's lovely. It's a beautiful representation of that ingredient, of something very much like whipped cream. Cool Whip. Let me know if you know what that's from. Okay, our final gourmand is a sweet. Once again, we're doing all sweets for this one. Cotton candy. Cotton candy, even just from the sound of it, you would imagine that has got to be an annoying ingredient. That's got to be obnoxious. Who wants to smell like that? There's a lot of very cheap, synthetic-y smelling perfumes. That's the cap. With cotton candy that are really annoying. I think like Pink Sugar is one of them, if I'm not mistaken. I think that has a cotton candy accord. But this is cotton candy done in a very different way, in a very unexpected way. You would not expect to see cotton candy with rose and oud. This is a rose oud fragrance, but a part of what makes its personality is this sweet fluffy, sugary cotton candy from Roja Parfum. Very expensive fragrance. Do not blind buy this. Maybe get a sample if you're interested. Even a sample might be a little pricey, but if it sounds good to you, you might enjoy it and might be worth it. This is called Qatar. This is from the Gulf collection. Yes, rose oud, cotton candy. It's done so well here. It doesn't even smell super edible because, I mean, you're getting a lot of woods. It's dry, a little bit medicinal, spices, and it's nice, different. A different take on such a sweet and edible note. I would have never thought I'd see it with rose and oud, but it smells lovely. It smells really good. You're right, Troy. Definitely from Family Guy. My cat, I don't know if you can see, I'm going to show you, has been the reason why my trumpet, I have a trumpet sitting up here on this keyboard, because last night she developed a new fascination of trying to jump, see if I can point it out, from the keyboard up to the top of this cabinet. I don't want her up there. So I put that there to deter. That's why we got this barricade there. She had never done it before last night. Now she's all about it. Okay, let's move on. We're on to a new category. Woods and mosses. We're almost done, guys. We have, including this one, 4 more categories. So thank you for joining along with this craziness that we're going through here. Woods and mosses. Our first ingredient is technically a synthetic ingredient. It is an aroma chemical called Akigala wood. And it is known to have a scent that smells like a combination of like patchouli, a little bit of like an agarwood, like a kind of a false oud, as well as pepper. Spicy, earthy, woody. And you see it used quite a bit these days as a primary woody component. It's a more multi-dimensional woody scent. It can be kind of cozy smelling. It can be kind of clean smelling as well, depending on how it's used. The fragrance that we're featuring using it is from Essential Parfum, and it's called Bois Imperial. Composed by Quentin Biche. We have another Quentin Biche fragrance coming up last in this video. You might already know what it is if you're familiar with Bois Imperial. I believe basil, Akigala wood, spices. It's like clean woods. Dry, spicy, calming, smooth. Not a whole lot going on, but it's very wearable and it's a little bit different. It could be a signature if you like woody scents, but it does not smell like a tree. There's a little bit more than that, but it's also quite simple. That's all I'm going to say about it. It's lovely. It's one of them. I actually got it just last year and I wore it quite a bit. I really enjoyed it. It's a very easy reach fragrance and it's quite inexpensive as far as niche goes. You can easily find it for under $100 for a full bottle. Okay, let's keep it going. Our next wood is birch. Birch wood is simply known to be a dry, smoky woodiness. It can be very robust. It can really add quite a darkness to a fragrance. And in this one, this is kind of the face of the scent, along with leather, along with a little bit of tonka bean, along with mate, if I'm not mistaken. There's this interesting green herbal quality that's fresh, but the birch wood and leather working together, especially the birch wood, adds this very smoky woodiness, but still something that's wearable, especially with that little bit of sweet vanilla quality that I get from tonka bean. This is from Argos. It's called Brivido della Caccia. It translates to roughly thrill of the chase. So well done. Probably their most polarizing fragrance of their collection, I'd say, relatively speaking. It's not a super challenging scent, but there's a bitter green quality, and the smoky woods may not be everyone's cup of coffee. I just didn't want to say cup of tea. I love this stuff, and it has surprisingly gotten me some good feedback out in the world. Very ironic for being a pretty sharp and specific scent profile, but it's really, really nice. Brivido della Caccia, yeah, good stuff. Great for birch wood if you're interested in that. And yeah, there's a link down below. There's a code, fresh 10. You can save some money if you want to get a discovery set. Okay, let's go to our last woody ingredient, and it is Gaiac wood. Gaiac wood is also a little smoky, but it's much softer. It's like it kind of can smell a little bit like barbecue, not like food, not like the meat, but like the charcoal smoking, or maybe there's some wood involved. It's a soft, smoky wood. It can be very understated. It can be just not really in your face, nowhere near as smoky as birchwood. One that uses gaiac beautifully, along with some iris, is Bohemian Soul from Unuit Nomad. Man, this is a very understated scent. Those of you who love your fragrances to fill a stadium, I don't know why you would want that, but some people want their fragrance to just be super loud. And how much does it project? And does it last 38 hours? Sure. You're not going to find that here. You will be disappointed. This is, it's kind of a whisper. Even when you first spray it, you smell it, you're like, am I smelling anything? And then it comes, oh, there it is. There it is. Very subtle, very calming kind of smoky woodiness, slightly powdery and floral, a little bit fresh. That's all I really have to say about it. It doesn't change a whole lot on my skin, but it wears in such a grounding way. It's something you can wear just for yourself when you are just kind of sitting at home, or if you just don't want to be, loud and noticeable and, disturbing people with your scent. That's a great one to consider. Gaiac wood is a great way to do it. We want cypress. Gerard, we talked about cypress in the last live stream. In the first edition of this series, we did cypress. So you can go back to that if you want to check it out. All right, that's it for woods. My camera's giving me low battery here, so we're going to keep it moving here. And if you guys want to start to reserve your most burning questions for the end, after we're done with all the fragrances, I will answer them then, because I want to try to get through the fragrances as quickly as I can, and also get to your questions. So maybe save them to the end. We're almost done. Our final category, as you can see on the screen, is resins. I did see something I thought I wanted to address, but no, I don't see it. Anomaly asked, does it smell like gray vetiver? No. Gray vetiver does not really have a smoky quality to me. That's more clean woods, fresh, clean, green, a little green, maybe not all that green. This is not that at all. It's just a different animal. Okay, first resin is labdanum. Labdanum comes from the rock rose, which is a flower. I think it comes from its stamen, if I'm not mistaken. And it is a resin that is known to be quite multifaceted, woody, smoky, leathery, ambery in a way. It is a primary component of the chypre, which we are doing a whole video on later this week. I actually filmed that last week. That's going to be a monster to edit, but it'll be a pretty comprehensive discussion of that genre and how labdanum plays a role. But labdanum is in Barkhane from Teo Cabanel, adding this beautiful, rich, dry, sweet, resinous, woody feel that smells like you're out in the desert, and you get the aridness, the arid quality of the air from the sand, but there's something kind of dense about it, something almost sticky. Labdanum can, again, have that resinous feel and can have that quality to it. This is probably my favorite from the house of Teo Cabanel. Probably one of their more masculine offerings, aside from one which I've talked about recently called Qatar. Lovely scent. Barkhane is beautiful. It is as I described it. Beautifully resinous, woody, spicy, warm. Nowhere near as edgy as labdanum can be. It can get quite ashy in a way if you're not careful, but not about being careful, but when it's used in a certain way. Anyway, our next resin is an odd one. It's called mastic, also called lentisque. And it's known to smell a little bit like turpentine. It's kind of a fresher resin, but if you smell turpentine, it's odd. And this has that quality. It's almost a little bit medicinal in a way. And it's used in such a unique fashion in this fragrance, which is technically a fougere, but it doesn't come off overtly as one. This is from Mosque Milano. It's called Slight of Fern. Fern referring to fougere, which is French for fern. This is an odd fougere. It is green. It is herbaceous. It is woody and spicy and kind of has that mossy feel that a fougere has, but the mastic resin, which is pretty upfront here, is a different type of kind of aromatic quality. It's like they're using it as an aromatic in a way. It's hard to describe. You have to try this. It's really different. It's very wearable and it can be a handsome scent, but as a fougere, very odd. But again, I think the mastic is what really plays the role with that one, with its identity. Okay, let's keep it going. Our final resin is olibanum. Olibanum is what's known as incense. I think incense can be made from olibanum, but it is a resin. It can be a little bit smoky. In fact, I want to spray this one. Yeah, it can smell like a cooling incense in a way. This is, and it's, wow. And it's used so beautifully here. This is from Amouage, one of their newest fragrances from their Odyssey collection. And this is called Lineage. Don't be fooled by the bottle. This is historically the women's bottle, but this is a unisex fragrance. This smells like incense in the ocean. That doesn't do it justice, but that's the quickest way I could describe it. There is a mineral-like aquatic feel to this. It smells like you're near an ocean. It's not like beachy. It is more kind of torrid. Is that the word I'm looking for? I don't know. There's more of a kind of a turbulent quality to it. Cloudy, rocks, waves crashing, sea air, but incense, cooling, slightly sweet, ambery incense. Lovely fragrance, dries really interestingly on the skin, lasts a long time. Very unique scent, a beautiful scent experience using olibanum. That is Amouage Lineage. They are known for olibanum. I believe some of the best, highest quality olibanum does come from the Oman region where Amouage is based. Okay, our next ingredient is Boozy. Beverages, more broadly, but specifically, we're talking about Boozy ingredients. Our first Boozy ingredient is absinthe. I was talking about absinthe earlier when we were speaking about Verte, which also has an absinthe feel. Again, absinthe it's a spirit. It is flavored by, again, artemisia, this kind of herbal quality. It can have some licorice. It can have anise in it. So there's an interesting licoricey feel to it. It is combined with Gaiac wood in this particular fragrance. Again, we talked about that recently as well, bringing a slightly smoky, woody nuance, some violet leaf in here, as well as I was referring to earlier, adding this interesting kind of fresh metallic green feel. This is Absinthe Gaiac. It's in the name. This is from Panouche. This is an interesting, unique fragrance. Wow. It's pretty much absinthe. You're getting a lot of absinthe in this. That feel is here at the forefront. It's represented in the color. It's a lovely scent. It is very specific. If you're not a fan of absinthe, you're not sure if you are, this may not be the first absinthe fragrance I would go for. I might recommend others, but actually I don't have one here. Verte is going to be too much too. But as an absinthe one, this is a great one if you're interested in that note. It's an interesting wearing experience. It wears pretty provocatively, but in a very wearable way. It can be actually a little bit versatile, but everyone may not think that. Yes, warm wood. Someone's saying gray flannel. Yes, labdanum. Thank you, Jared, once again for keeping up with all this madness. I really appreciate it. Plum and cognac. Yeah, that one is one I got to revisit. I think I have a sample somewhere. Lovely scent from Scents of Wood. Our next boozy note is whiskey. Again, most of us might know what that smells like. It is Kind of a multifaceted ingredient. It can be, yes, kind of dark, sweet, boozy, but it can have these smoky, woody elements like an oak barrel and things like that. There's a lot of elements that whiskey can have. This is one of my favorite whiskey fragrances right now. I have Tobacco Oud, which is a lovely scent that does have whiskey in it, but that doesn't really define its identity. Here it does through and through. From, I always say this wrong, Farmacia SS Annunziata, 1561 from Florence. This is called Whiskey Nobile. This was sent to me by my friends at Fragripedia House. There's a code and a link down below if you want to try this fragrance. It's odd. When you first spray it, it smells a little bit grapey, kind of grape-like, but like with chocolatey, dry cacao, maybe almost a plum feel, and definitely whiskey. That's the best way I can describe it without looking at the notes. That's what I get when I smell it. It is a little bit different, but especially up close. But when you let it breathe in the air and it lasts all day, for me, it is a beautiful, calming, but kind of alluring aroma. It mostly dries down to the cacao and to the whiskey, kind of playing a role. It's kind of dusty, dry, chocolatey with that boozy whiskey. It's really, really lovely. I'm not going to say the name of it again. Again, it's in the description. I don't want to keep offending people with my terrible Italian. Thank you guys all for watching. Ian, I'm glad you enjoy this. Again, we're pushing through. We've been through so much. Thank you guys for coming along on the ride. We have 4 more fragrances. Our final boozy scent, it's on my hand. And the funny thing about this fragrance is that this is my first time wearing it on my skin, but I've had it for almost 3 years. I will explain. This is coming from Matthew Melig, a beautiful indie house based up in Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada. And this is a fragrance he calls the Golden Guy. Now, if you go on his website, he has updated his bottle style. It no longer looks like this. If you go on the website, you'll see what I mean. Again, he sent me this bottle maybe around the time he first made it. And this fragrance is meant to represent the Golden Guy district, which, if I'm not mistaken, is somewhat a red light district in Tokyo. All kinds of, it's like maybe a main strip, and there's all kinds of crazy things going on there. Interesting establishments you can visit. But he wanted to represent it in this fragrance, the booziness, the tobacco, the kind of wild quality of that area. And it is in here. And the reason why I didn't wear it on my skin is because when he sent it to me years ago, he sent it with a note. On the note, it read, "Hey, Justin, I hope you enjoy this. Do not put this on your skin. It has real tobacco tincture and it has real nicotine. So I don't recommend spraying on your skin, spray it on your clothes." So I was terrified. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to put it on my skin, but I wanted to, because when I first sprayed it, I was like, this stuff is freaking gorgeous. I want to wear this. I didn't want to just spray it on my clothes. I wasn't getting the full effect. So I never really wore it. I would only spray it on paper every now and then and smell it and just love it. I happened to message him today because it's like, I really wanted to include it in the video. I messaged Matthew. I said, "Hey, Matthew, I don't know if you remember, but you sent me Golden Guy years ago. You told me I shouldn't wear it on the skin. Does that still stand? You know, how do you feel about that today?" And he said, well, I was being overly cautious. That was when I first put it out. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I have not had any problems from any of my customers who bought it. So I'd say it's just fine. But if you do experience any kind of a reaction on your skin, obviously stop spraying it. So I'm like, yes, took it out, sprayed it immediately, and have been loving it the whole time we've been doing this live. This is essentially, it's like tobacco soaked in booze. It's a liquor accord. The liquor accord is what we're talking about with this particular ingredient, which is very general and broad, but it is technically an accord. And they say it's anything that smells like kind of a sweet alcoholic quality in a fragrance. But here it's done with, again, soaked in like tobacco, like not the leaves, but like what you would put into like a rolled cigar or a cigarette or something like that. There's an ashiness, but there's a sweet booziness, almost like a wine feel, like a red wine as well. It's almost kind of fresh in a way and spicy. Grace actually said when I first sprayed it that it smelled like mint ice cream in the air. I'm like, that is exactly what it is not. That is so funny. And then she smelled it up close. She's like, oh, you're right. But in the air, I could see what she meant. There is this almost minty freshness. But this stuff is so beautiful. So I can easily say and safely say, if you're interested in what I just said, you can get it. You can try it on your skin. Don't be afraid. It's not cheap. I'm telling you, it's not cheap. And he might have samples available. I'm not sure, but it is worth trying. It's quite an experience. And it is a beautiful representation of an experience that he had in a very interesting place in the world. So hopefully one day I'll see that place. That is The Golden Guy by Matthew Mellick. Okay, our final category. You guys are troopers for hanging out for an hour and a half with me, talking about all these fragrances. 3 more fragrances to go. Final category is synthetic / popular / weird. These are ingredients that are typically lab created, lab made. Again, aroma chemicals. We would not be able to get these scents into perfumes in nature. You cannot naturally extract these things. They have to be synthesized in a lab, combining molecules to create something that smells similar, peripheral, or exactly like whatever they're going for. And the list is vast in what these elements can be. Anything from blood to vinyl to, certain metal or minerals or I can't think of anything else right now. Ash. And, there's so many ingredients that we cannot naturally put in, but you can create. So our first one we're talking about is aldehydes. Aldehydes go way back. One of the first fragrances to really put aldehydes on the map and overdose is Chanel No. 5. It was kind of an accident, the perfumer who made it for Coco Chanel didn't think she'd like it. It was like the 5th rendition and she loved it. And she's like, this is the one. And it's been obviously an iconic scent ever since. Aldehydes are known to smell kind of cold, soapy, fresh, like clean, sparkling, soapy, fresh, maybe a little bit like clean laundry. Almost nondescript, but also unmistakable all at the same time. Very clean smelling. Fragrance I have here that features them heavily is from Teo Cabanel. Not one I wear all the time, but it is an experience. If you're looking for a transportive fragrance to transport you to a bathtub, you're in a bathtub, everything is white. You're in a white bathroom. Everything is very calm and relaxing. It's not, white like clinical or sterile, but like white marble, white ceramic and tile, and just really, really nice with lots of suds and soap in the bath. And you're just soaking and just relaxing, enjoying life. This is called Et Voila from, again, Teo Cabanel. This captures that completely in a bottle. It smells like soap suds in a way. It smells like you're in the bath, surrounded by the suds, clean, bubbly, soapy. Again, almost nondescript, but unmistakable all at the same time. If you're looking for that, which not everyone is, you will find it here. Et Voila from Teo Cabanel. Very specific smelling, but a very nice representation of aldehydes if you're not interested in going to Chanel No. 5, especially as a guy. Our next fragrance, our next ingredient is ISO E Super. Some people say ISO E Super. I don't really know which one it is, but all of that works. And I always see super, however you want to say it, is I think my light's dying here. I'll turn that off. It's known to be kind of it's a woody molecule, a woody scent. And it is a combination of kind of this cozy, woody, maybe ambery, musky feel. Definitely not natural smelling, but there's something, again, very cohesive about it that really grounds a fragrance and it makes it very easy to get next to and a little bit interesting. You can tell it's not supernatural, but when it's done well, it's done really well. I love how it is done in this fragrance. There's many fragrances I could have chosen, especially from the eccentric molecule line, Molecule 01, known to feature that almost exclusively. And that's a great scent. But I don't have it. I used to have it. I kind of regret getting rid of it. We're talking about Dior Homme 2020, which I think features it in a very balanced way. This uses ISO E Super in a way that it is the primary woody component of this fragrance. And this is a pretty fresh, citrusy, spicy, woody fragrance. It's clean smelling, but there's something a little bit sexy about it, I have to admit. And the woodiness, again, not overly natural, but very cozy, very easy to get next to, and something that's gotten me a lot of positive attention on my skin when I wear it in the world. So some people don't care for it, especially in overdose, like, oh, it's synthetic, I always see super, whatever, whatever it may be. You may not love it because it's not natural, but when it's done well, I really enjoy it. So that's that. And our final ingredient for the synthetic popular weird is mineral notes. I referenced that earlier. Anything that smells like minerals, like a salty feel or something coming from the ocean or the earth. It can be, maybe, I mean, it's minerals. You guys probably know what I'm talking about, especially if you've like been in a tide pool or something and you just get a whiff of just the air and everything. It just really, it's unmistakable. Now, this fragrance uses mineral notes. It does not smell like the ocean. So get that out of your head. And I was referencing this earlier when I was talking about Quentin Biche. Some of you guys already got it and knew what it was. This is Ganymede from Marc-Antoine Barrois. This is one of the best representations of metallic or mineral-like ingredients. This is made to represent Jupiter's largest moon, Ganymede, which is the largest moon in our solar system, as this cold, orbiting, rocky, mineral, celestial body. And they captured it here, but this uses a little bit of suede, a little bit of immortelle. It's a little odd smelling. Not everyone loves this. Definitely polarizing, but so special and so unique, has quickly become a little bit iconic, so that clone brands are now cloning it. That's how you know something's really on the map now. I remember talking about this back in 2020 before people were really hyping it up a lot. And this was a gift from my friend Frederick. So if you're watching this, Frederick, thank you so much for essentially changing my olfactory world by letting me experience Ganymede. So if you love this fragrance, let me know. If you hate this fragrance, let me know. I see the waffles is saying it smells like a dentist, sterile dentist office. I see people saying that. It kind of goes one way or the other, but if you really love it, you really love it. And it can actually become very versatile as a unique scent profile. That is mineral notes, and that is Ganymede. And that is our last fragrance. Wow, I cannot believe we did all of this. So again, my camera battery light is flashing. I don't know how much time I have. I'm going to take a couple minutes to answer some questions, and then we'll be on our way. Again, thank you guys for watching me talk about all 30 of these fragrances. Again, everything is linked down below in the description if you want to try something. Sweetie Oud. I love Sweetie Oud. Gorgeous scent. Okay. Let's see. I want to try Sydney Rock Pool. Not familiar. Would I take Eau Très Fraîche or Eau Givrée? Eau Givrée. Personally, for me, I love that like cooling grapefruit. So icy, so beautiful. I prefer Eau Givrée personally. It's lovely. Maybe a little bit less of the Terre d'Hermes in there than Eau Fraiche has. Okay, Waffles, thank you for hanging out. Appreciate all of your kind and smart remarks, as always. You're amazing. Hedione. Yeah, Hedione. I almost selected Hedione as one of the ingredients for the synthetics, but maybe we'll save that for later. Kofo is asking a perfume for a football lover. I don't know if I could think of a fragrance that is specifically for that kind of person. Yeah, that I feel like I need more information. I don't know if that's a very specific characteristic to scent with a fragrance. I mean, do they like to smell clean or something? You know, that's what really matters here. Okay. Have I ever tried Nico's Parfum? No, I have not tried it. I've heard about it for years. I've heard it's maybe a little bit similar to a Creed fragrance, which I'm blanking on right now. Maybe Himalaya. I can't remember now, but I heard great things about it. I've also heard people say it smells a little cheap, but I got to try it for myself. Jared, thank you so much. Don't just click it, slap it, guys. May have to go back. So we did not talk about oud as an ingredient in this video. We did talk about it in the previous live we did last week about it, if I'm not mistaken. But both of those are wonderful. Okay. Recommendation on a dark rose or rose. I assume you're talking about rose, a dark rose fragrance. I'd say Lyric Man is a little bit on the darker side as far as rose goes. There is a fragrance from Sweetoft, and they call it Black Rose, I believe. And that one is beautiful as well, kind of a dark fruity rose. Those are ones that come to mind off the top. Pick for an earthy vetiver. I love Incident Diplomatique and also Sultan Vetiver from Nishane. Incident Diplomatique is from Javoy. Sultan Vetiver is one I need to get a bottle of because I've enjoyed it for a while. Does Bois Imperial remind me of Grey Vetiver? I can see the resemblance in terms of the cleanliness, but they do not smell the same. Bois Imperial does not smell like vetiver to me. So I don't think I would compare them all that heavily. In terms of scent, they're not really the same, but in terms of function, they could be. So in that way, if you are a very function-based fragrance wearer, they might be a little redundant. Have I tried Saint-Fleur from Bortnikov? I haven't tried anything from Bortnikov, and I've been wanting to for years. I'll have to add that to my list. Waffles, my birthday is on the 21st of this month. Thank you for asking. Is there a fragrance I look forward to this year? Cam is asking. Definitely YSL EDP Intense. No, not at all. I also see they are remaking Armani Code Eau de Toilette. If that's not a money grab, I don't know what is. I don't know. I don't know what I'm interested in this year. If I look at Parfume, they always have the new releases. Bulgari Man Rain Essence. I see that was just announced. Is there anything else that caught my eye? I can't remember. I don't think so. Nothing at the moment. Cam, I'm glad you got a kick out of that. Yes, Sarah Sweetoff has some really lovely stuff. Thank you so much, Waffles. That'd be awesome. Have I tried Adonis Awakens? Yes, I have it. It's a lovely scent. Really interesting take on rose with chestnut, I believe. Kind of a toasty, like a toasted, nutty, sweet rose. Really nice. Anything new from Cartier? I still have yet to try Declaration Hot Fresh, I think is what it's called. I think it came out last year. I still haven't tried that. But nothing at the moment I'm really itching to try from them right now. They've been maybe a little quiet, so we'll see what they do next, especially with the Pasha line. I love Cartier and YSL. Any designers that same level of quality? Wait, as designers, I love Cartier and YSL. Any other designers on that same level of quality that doesn't release flankers for the sake of it? Great question. I think Hermes is kind of along those lines as well. They did make H24 EDP, but I believe that is a beautiful upgrade. It is like one of the most thoughtful upgrades as an EDP to an EDT I've seen in a long time. Outside of Hermes and Cartier, honestly, I think YSL is not really what I would consider one of the most thoughtful brands as far as releasing flankers, especially with the new EDP Intense coming. So I don't mean to offend you, but that's just my personal opinion. I feel like they used to be. Their Loam line was very interesting in the past, maybe 5 years ago, with all the flankers to the Loam line. Those were great, but they've steered it off into Moneyville, and it's just a little boring and redundant now. Carrie, you must be a little late. We did talk about Lineage just earlier, and it's lovely, and I've smelled a few others from the new collection. My favorite one is Purpose. Purpose is lovely. I only have a sample of it. That stuff is incredible. I love it. Would I recommend BDK Rouge Charnel to someone who likes La Nuit? Yeah, I mean, they're not really all that similar, but yeah, I mean, there is like this kind of smooth freshness to BDK in a way. That's a really crude way of putting it. Very, very, unnuanced. But yeah, I would recommend it. I love Gris Charnel nonetheless. So whether or not you like La Nuit, I'd still recommend it because I enjoy it. Okay, well, I'll be rocking for Valentine's Day. I'm not sure. I don't typically decide on things like that ahead of time. I'm terrible at that. I don't like to pick out my outfits the day before. I don't like to pick out my fragrances the day before. I try. I might put out a few fragrances the night before, but then by the time I get to them the next morning, I'm interested in something else. So I won't know till the day of probably. But last year I wore Nishane Nefs and I loved it. Loved that one. Okay, we're gonna go. We're gonna call this a day. We're gonna call it a stream. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me in this crazy little escapade we took, talking about 30 fragrances. Again, if you want to try anything, there's links down below. You can always come back to this video, rewatch it if you missed something, or if you want to see what I said about something previously. I'm trying to think of anything else. Normally I would have uploaded a video today, but I just got a new editing software and I'm still learning it. It's a big upgrade and it's one I've been meaning to make. So I needed more time editing a particular video that will come out on Wednesday. So stay tuned for Wednesday's video. I'll put out some kind of short tomorrow, which will be fun. I've been getting more of those out and enjoying that. So hopefully you guys enjoy the shorter form content as well, because YouTube is really pushing that right now. If you want to survive as a channel, you need to grow using that algorithm as well. So pushing those out. Hope you guys enjoy those too. Again, y'all are awesome. Thank you for being a part of the Fresh Squad. Thank you for joining me on this Monday. And I hope you have a wonderful day or night. Be safe, smell great, hug somebody, tell somebody you like their shoes, spread some good. Anyway, thank you guys. I'll see you later.